Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. It is once again a beautiful day here in Tucson, Arizona, where I have decided to stay for the time being because Los Angeles is pretty weird right now. And in this video, I'm talking about how the long, cold winter of 2021 is approaching. And about this time last year, I made a video about predictions about 2020. I said it's going to be a crazy year of change. And this is indeed what happened. I have a little bit of a prediction about 2021, which is that we're not going to be out of the woods. There's a lot of forecasting about 2021, starting off with a lot of these changes and things in the world happening that's been happening at a fast pace. It's going to continue, especially into the winter, that we should all be terrified of the pandemic as it continues to ravage economies and make our way of life very different than it used to be. But in this video, I want to talk about how in any circumstance, you actually have the power to practice this thing we call mental alchemy. Alchemy is the ability to change the state of something into something else. So we usually think of that as turning lead into gold. That is the material supposition about alchemy, but alchemy is actually a metaphysical concept that involves changing the state of something, which could be anything. So in your own life, a state of fear, anxiety can be changed into something else no matter what the circumstances are. So no matter how much people around you are freaking out, no matter how much it's supposed to be this time of gloom and doom and darkness, that's actually the perfect opportunity to practice spiritual alchemy, to be able to change that concept, that mindset, that frequency into something else that you choose. So to do this, you may have to upset your life the way it is. Because if you're living in fear, you're afraid to go outside your house, all people around you are upset and full of anxiety, maybe you need to get away for a little bit. I don't know, come somewhere like here where, instead of the gloomy, dark winter, you have extra sunshine all year. Maybe book a trip to Mexico. Just be careful of if things get worse with economies or there's mutated virus strains, be careful where you choose to go. I actually canceled a trip to Mexico recently for these reasons. But who knows, maybe other places to go. If you're not traveling, then just go into your immediate neighborhood, take more walks, find hiking trails to go on, find things to get involved with in the community. You can find opportunities even in your community to connect with people, because that's usually what we are all craving. And one of the biggest causes of depression during a period like this in humanity is the disconnection we feel from each other. We can only go so long being in a state of disconnection from each other before depression and low frequency shifts happen. And you need to actively counter these things as they're happening if you want to be able to transcend a time of darkness. There's been many times of darkness in our history. Think about the 40s, think about World War II, think about the 1910s, think about the World War I. Unbelievable times of darkness that periodically happen in our history. And we were overdue for one. But usually great things also happen once the smoke clears, once the sun comes back through the clouds again. It renews us on a psychological level. We learn lessons about hope, and we learn lessons that we wouldn't have had access to any other way. And this actually brings up a bigger topic concerning the nature of limitations, restrictions. I have a video about this coming up soon. But in many ways, we need these things to grow, to develop, to grow our characters. And that's probably why we're here in the first place, is to enhance our characters. So there's a lot to appreciate, even in dark times. And then know this, that when it comes to my Nostradamus predictions about 2021, there's going to be this time of kind of the peak darkness, the peak amounts of fear, the peak anxiety, and also, I'm sorry to say, peak death, because I know the virus is very real. I've been struggling with it for 9 months now, and I am on the mend. I've taken some radical action to start getting better, and it is working, I think. But I know that this thing is powerful, and there's a lot of health issues a lot of people are going to have to face, and there's a lot of people who have lost loved ones. And it's at its peak right now. It's going to get worse, but then I think it's going to clear up. And I know some of you all have, your ideas or, fears about not so benevolent powers who have hijacked the pandemic for their own purposes. Maybe there's something in the VACCINE that might not be so good for us. Maybe some evil billionaire has put some kind of nano machine in it. I don't know. And I really don't, it's really hard to say about those types of things, but I will say that I think that there's an access of power or the access of dark forces. There's also a polarity of positive forces in the universe, I think. And I honestly don't think that they would allow humanity to go extinct. I think there's a lot of people peddling fear, especially on the internet, and it's easy to get caught up in that. And that's one of the things to be aware of as well when you're navigating this dark period. It is the anxiety and paranoia. It is easy to get caught up in a state of fear from things you listen to on the internet and think that this is definitely going to happen. I think, we can almost spin this in a religious way and let's call it faith in God. So in this case, I have faith in higher powers that the humanity is not about to get wiped out, So maybe we're dealing with a virus, we're dealing with probably some unscrupulous characters who are exploiting it, maybe even responsible for all of this happening. But it's going to run its course, and things will get back to, quote, normal, but they'll be better. Things will be rebuilt, things will come back stronger than before. And historically, this kind of stuff happens a lot. So it's not as unique as this all seems to us because we're in it right now. It's not unique. Think about the Black Death. Think about smallpox. Think about World War I, World War II, other times of darkness. So there's no reason to freak out and act like C-3PO saying, oh, we're doomed, we're doomed. We're not doomed. This will be over before you know it. And maybe these less than benevolent forces, maybe they got something out of all this. Maybe they were able to make money or get power, or maybe there's higher powers in play that stop that from happening. Maybe there's higher powers that, would prevent anybody from coming along and, I don't know, tinkering with something, tinkering with a disease's cure. That could threaten all of humanity. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's even extraterrestrial forces that wouldn't allow those types of things to happen. So that's in essence what I feel about this. So there's going to be this very dark winter, I guess, that it's going to be your job to overcome that, ascend beyond that, rise up, be a beacon of light for everybody else. And then probably around summertime, people are going to be so thirsty for the darkness to end that that's going to manifest the end of the darkness, one way or the other. The case numbers will start disappearing, the death rates will start disappearing, and things will start getting back to normal. People are thirsty, people are going to manifest that. Part of this may have been a manifestation of people's dissatisfaction with their lives. At least that's what Seth talks about. Jane Roberts' Seth books basically says pandemics, although they have a physical trigger, manifest first on the collective psyche of a population. So during the times of the Black Death, the collective psyche was very, very depressed, and people collectively wanted off this planet. Those medieval times, it was absolutely horrific. There was no standard of living, and people's lives were entirely controlled by the church or controlled by oligarchic powers. And according to Seth in Jane Roberts' books, Seth Speaks, these pandemics were ultimately caused by the collective psyche of people who wanted off this world, and it was manifested like the Great Plague. I think it was 526 AD that killed about 1/4 of the population. So we could look even at this year's pandemic, this year's strife, as a manifestation, and that manifestation ultimately has to work itself out because that was the goal all along. So for some people, maybe leaving this world, but collectively, it is to renew and have a better world at the end. And that's why after a time of tribulation and darkness, things tend to come back better and stronger than before, because that is what people are desiring, maybe on a subconscious level, but it's what people want. People want to have their lives experience a renewal. And it will come around, and it's being represented ultimately through this crisis, through this virus. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That helps keep this going, keeps videos like this being produced, and helps me run the community and all that, as well as becoming a patron at patreon.com/afterlife topics. Anything on that level always helps. Work with me one-on-one, work with me personally for coaching, learning about astral projection or the afterlife or any other subject that I talk about. You can just find me in the links below. Email is right down there, and or check out a book like Understanding Life After Death. You can pick those up easily at afterlifetopics.com. That's it for this video. I wish you all well during New Year's, and stay safe, and remember that the biggest battle is always up here. Work stuff out up here and things will work out everywhere else. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Just stop what you're doing, you know, stop your old habits, and let's make something new happen. Okay.